It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out. And tonight's Instagram Live guest is named Jacintha Field, and she is already in tomorrow because we will be talking to her from Australia, which is super cool. And she's also in a different season. She is in the winter, we're in the summer, and she's in Melbourne. My daughter actually spent a semester in Australia, so I just want to make sure she can get on here properly. But anyway, one of the things that she helps people with is helping kids stay emotionally regulated, especially through these very difficult situations. And so she's going to give us some tips. She's the founder of Happy Souls Kids, and she's also a play therapist. So I can't wait to talk to her. I hope she can get on. I'm not sure where she is yet, but if she doesn't pop in here in a few seconds, I'm gonna go chase her down and see what's going on. But let's see. Oh, here she is. Good. All right, Jacintha. So emotionally regulating our kids. I know that a lot of people in this community are dealing with parents who turn the kids against them. And so that can be really triggering all the time. So I'm thrilled to know that you can help us with these kinds of things and emotionally regulating ourselves too, not just our kids.
Oh yeah, emotional regulation for us parents is something that people aren't just really aware of. Like they feed off our calm, they feed off our energy, and they feed off us. So if they go up and we go higher, it's just going to create that tension. So the lower we can go with our kids, the better. It's so important that we stay in that place of calm with our kids because they need it. They need it.
Yeah, yeah. So before we even start, Jacinta, can you officially introduce yourself, say who you are and what you do?
Yeah, beautiful. So my name is Jacintha, but you can call me Jay. Jacintha's a little bit of a tongue twister. So all the kids in practice call me Jay. I'm a family and child counsellor, art therapist. I've studied play therapy, and I'm a kids yoga teacher. I have separated. I've been in a domestically violent relationship for 15 years of my life when I was very young. And I've experienced co-parenting, and I work with lots of separated couples because it's tough. It's really challenging to be able to go through all of these modalities, and you just need people that see and hear and understand the process and what you've been through. So I'm here to help.
Yeah, thank you. So can you first explain what is, let's say, self-regulation and co-regulation? Because these are words that I just learned recently, and I don't think many people know exactly what that means.
Of course. So self-regulation, we have self-regulation and dysregulation. So self-regulation is when we are in tune with our emotions that are happening within our body. And quite often kids get dysregulated, often known as a tantrum or a meltdown. And these things, oh, look at that, got some balloons there. These things are really challenging for parents to process. And the reason being is that they were told to eat concrete, harden up when they were younger, get over it. And parents haven't actually really felt in their own emotions. They haven't sat in that space of really sitting with their feelings because they were told that not to feel growing up. So it's very uncomfortable for many parents to be able to hold space for their own kids when they don't even do it for themselves. So self-regulation is about really feeling into how we're feeling and regulating our bodies. So in those moments, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel frustrated. Like these are all emotions that all of us have. And it's important that we recognize that it's okay to feel regardless of what somebody says outside of you, but it's just how we process that. So anger, for instance, we can have anger, but you can get a pillow and you can really push a pillow and get our anger out of our body, or go for a run, or maybe you could do some boxing, or with kids you get them stamp their feet, or in practice I get them to make slime. So we really want to regulate our body in different ways that are really healthy for us, because otherwise we go to the drinks, or we go to our friends, or the unhealthy ways to regulate our body. So there's just, yeah, different ways of self-regulating.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about play therapy or art therapy.
Yeah, so kids speak a very different language to adults. And so often we will send them to a psychologist, and that's not what they need, because some kids, they don't have the abilities to be able to talk about their feelings because they don't know how they're feeling. It's
Mhm.
like one of those questions that you ask them at the end of the day and they say, how was your day? And they go, good. And it's because they don't have the words to express how they're feeling. Like they haven't learned about what feelings and emotions are. They don't actually know what can relate to that. So play therapy is we talk in a kid's language. So in a practice, I will say to a child, they'll come in and I'll say, I want every part of you here. Every part of you is welcome. And so I want them to be the wholehearted self that they are. I don't want masks on. Every part of them is welcome. So then we have different modalities within the room for them to go to because a child knows what they need. We as parents try to pull them away from things often, like, oh, don't go there, don't do this. But they
Mhm.
know what they need in those moments. So they might go to the sand tray and we might play with sand, and that helps really regulate the sand through the body. If you ever put your hand, even at the beach, if you just put your hand in the sand, it's so regulating for us. Or
Mm.
I was known as a slime lady in practice. We'd make slime often because it's a really great modality to like move emotions through the body. Or sometimes they wanted to play chasey or hide and seek, like little games that they can play. And that have you played hide and seek recently? Like those beautiful butterfly feelings that you get is so nice to feel. And so that's what a child is looking for in play therapy is those feelings that they know. They know what they need. We just need to really trust children a lot more to understand that a child knows what they need. And so play therapy is speaking to them in a language that they understand, and they have that window of tolerance. All kids have a window of tolerance, so we want to stay within their window of tolerance.
You know, when you said, have you played hide and seek lately? I was thinking, actually, I did because my partner, Chris, has a dog and her nose doesn't work very well. I don't know why, even though she acts like it does. And I love hiding from her. And then she comes running upstairs and she's like sniffing all over the place. And it is that joyful feeling of like,
It is.
you know,
It is.
it's a
Like,
great
oh, they're gonna
feeling.
get me, they're gonna
Yeah.
get me. It's so nice. It's such a
Yeah.
nice feeling. And we're like, this is why kids love playing this game. And often, you know what we say? I'm too busy. I'm doing the washing. I'm doing the cleaning. And we just don't listen to kids. But if a kid said to you, I'm having a hard day, how would you react?
Mm. It's hard
But
to
if they
say.
say, Mummy, will you come and play with me? They react in a different way again. Mm.
Yeah. And not just little kids. I'm thinking about my son who's in his 20s, who's just like, Mom, do you have a few minutes to talk? And I think
Yeah.
I better put everything aside if I can.
But if he said, Mum, can you kick a ball with me? Often we say, no, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now it's
it's
rock
really
climbing. Can
listening.
you rock climb with me?
Yeah, exactly. That's their way of saying I need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Mm.
there, well, actually, let me back up for a second. So it sounds like play therapy is unstructured play because you said kids come in and they can do what they want. So it's not like you're saying, okay, we're going to play with water today, or we're going to play with slime.
No, no, they get the choice of what they want to play with. Now, obviously, as a therapist, you can have modalities out that if you want a child to kind of go to them, depending on what situation that they're in. But no, play therapy is about them having choice. And that's what I speak to a lot of the parents about is when we want our kids to have choice. They get told what to do at school, they get told what to do at home, they get told what to do by their friends, and they never have that element where they have a level of control. And this is huge when you go through the separation process because their entire world has smashed to pieces. And so they need to have some level of control back into their life. During the separation process with my son, every time during the transition, he always finds transitions really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would get him straight down to the beach, or I would get him in nature, or I would meet him and have that peace between the other parent to me is just making sure that he has that element of control. Where sometimes he would dig a hole in the sand and regulate through the sand, or he would use me as a robot. Mummy, you got to go this way. You got to go this way, or it can be chasey, or whatever he chooses to do during that time. It gives him a sense of empowerment and control back into his body, which is what kids really need. They need that element of having that control because they don't have it in many other areas in their life.
Yeah, I always thought something that was sad these days is very structured birthday parties. I don't know if you have that in Australia, but in America, it used to be free for all. Like when I was little, you just run around and play, and maybe you'd have some kind of entertainment like a magician or whatever, but a lot of the time was unstructured. But now it seems like a lot of parties are at a place and there's an adult that's kind of dictating, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do that. Do you have that in Australia too?
We do, we do. I mean, all kids are different. Some love routine and they
Yeah.
thrive on routine, and then others just like to play. And the way I get around that is that I will always say, what does the child want? What does the
Hmm.
child whose birthday it is, what do they want to do? Do they want
Yeah.
to go to a particular place, or do they want to just have friends over at home? Because kids are just as happy having friends over as they are going to a play centre often, because it's about that connection piece with their friends. And it doesn't actually really matter what they're doing. We just spend thousands of dollars on kids' parties sometimes. I certainly know I have in the past.
Hmm.
Which is it more for us or more for them?
Yeah, yeah, good point. So also with play therapy, is it like a certain age does better with it? Is there a range? Because I know I've interviewed attorneys, and one in particular said that for kids under a certain age, it doesn't seem to be effective, and over a certain age, it's like they're too old for it. But what do you think?
I think age is relative. It depends on the child. Like I have some 12-year-olds that have the emotional capacity of a 6-year-old. So I think it really does depend on the child and their upbringing and their situation. I mean, up until about 12 years, they start to be more about talk therapy. But I
Mhm.
guess in the therapy perspective, that's where we give them choice. If they want to sit down and talk about their feelings and they have that capacity, we allow them to do that. That's where they have the capacity to make those decisions depending on what their emotional regulation is within them. Often younger kids just want to blow bubbles and do breath work the whole time because that
Mhm.
helps them regulate. I had one girl that used to come in and she just used to blow bubbles the whole time. And it was so structured what she would do every time. It was always the same thing. Whereas other
Mhm.
times I have other kids come in and they do something different every day. Or
Mhm.
maybe it is coming in and saying, this is my time to make slime. So it just really depends on the child.
Yeah. So in terms of like just playing versus play therapy, what does a play therapist do that helps make it therapeutic versus just my kids going to play in the sand, but they happen to be in a therapist's office?
Yeah, so it's just interpreting different things to be able to
Mhm.
have those conversations with parents. It's interpreting what they're doing in the play and what they
Mm.
need. And sometimes the parents are in session with you as well, if the kids want that, is
Oh,
that
really?
that's their undivided attention. Like when we talk about connection, often the world is in trauma at the moment, and so parents are doing their best, but everybody's working really hard, and it's really challenging, and we've all got bills to pay, and there's a recession, and so the people that actually suffer from that is our children, and so
Mhm.
all they want is you. I'll always ask kids in practice, if you could plan your whole day from start to finish, what would it look like? And 99% of the time, they will say, I want to spend time with my family because that's all they
Wow.
need. They want to spend time with their parents. Often siblings aren't as well received. They just want to spend time with their parents.
That's
And so,
amazing. I didn't,
yeah,
that's surprising to me. I mean, I can believe it, but still, it's like, wow, 99%?
yeah, yeah. I want to go
Amazing.
here with my mum and dad, and who's with you, and this, and it's, yeah, like kids just want to spend time with us. That's what they want. They want to regulate with us. They want to have fun with us. And they just want to be with us, even sitting next to us while we're working. They
Hmm.
just need that closeness. And that's what often is missing in the relationship of connection, in the parent child connection piece, is that there's so much disconnection happening all around the world because parents are so busy working to provide for their kids, they're forgetting to stop and play with their kids.
Yeah. So I mentioned to you earlier that our audience tends to be dealing with extremely high conflict
Mm.
situations. Often they're in court. It goes on and on and on for years. They're very, very stressed out and they worry about their children and they feel really guilty because their mind isn't on relaxing and playing because they're so consumed with the discovery process and getting paperwork ready and dealing with their ex and getting triggered by that. What can you say to people in that situation who are already feeling horrible about themselves?
First of all, my heart goes out to you. It is not an easy situation. It's really tough, but it does make you stronger as a person. there's been studies that show if you give your child 20 minutes of undivided attention, that is what they need. So obviously we want more than 20 minutes, but just not with a to-do list, actually sitting with your child in whatever they're doing, and that could be Nintendo, that could be play, that could be kicking a ball, whatever they choose to do, that really helps them feel empowered. So even though we've got a to-do list, a never-ending to-do list, really sitting in and just having that time with them, because the alienation piece is, oh, it's so big. I interviewed Dr. Shafali a couple of years ago and I asked this question, and she said, as long as one parent is that conscious parent that shows up for their child, that's all the child needs. So as long as you are showing up for your kid, as long as you are being the person that is there wholeheartedly for them and being there and consciously being by their side, that's okay. You can't control what the other parent does, as I'm sure everybody here is aware. For many years, I tried to change the situation that I was in, and I just had to surrender and accept it. And the more that we can just accept the situation, alienation's very different. But as long as we can just really surrender and say, this is where I am, I'm with my child in this moment, and that's the time that means the most to me. That's really important to be present with them, even for short periods of time, to know that you are there. You know, they have their safe person. They just need you there. So just being a little bit more conscious about that.
Yeah, and you're saying something. I remember I interviewed a psychologist from around here a few years ago, and she was saying that kids want two things: control and attention, just like you said. And she said if you
Yeah,
just spend those few minutes where you kind of let them lead the activity, and you're
yeah.
focused on them, and they know they have their attention, and they can control your attention, that also makes a much stronger bond with kids.
Yeah, and that's what they need. They need you. And so it's just hearing these conversations and having that awareness around it and saying, next time a child says, hey, mummy, will you come and play with me? You put the dishes down and you go and play with them and sit in their moment, because they have so much joy to teach you. Kids
Mm-hmm.
are so joyous if you step out of where you are and go back into their joy. And they're the moments that help you get through, is those joyful moments. And that's what you can hold on to.
Yeah, such great advice. Now, what about when a kid is having like really powerful emotions, like we see a lot of aggression in kids? How do you handle that? Is it the same thing? Like, but what if nothing's working?
Aggression is a really big piece, and it's something that I went through with my own son when we separated. And it was tough because I have been in a domestically violent relationship, so it's a massive trigger for me. And
Hmm.
so, in that, it is allowing a child to feel their emotion, but keeping you safe. So, rather than saying, don't do that, stop, 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 you say, I understand that you're angry right now. I want you to let your anger out on the pillow, or let's go and scream. Let's go into the beach or the nature and scream out your lungs. Or what do you need in this moment to be able to get it out of their body? Now, when they're dysregulated, they can't hear you. When they are
Hmm.
up, like, there's no point in trying to have a community relationship or conversation with a child when they're already up here. You've got to
Hmm.
let them move through everything, but it's putting your hand out and saying, I don't accept you hurting me. I don't accept you hurting me. I don't accept you hurting me. And so it's allowing the child to, it is okay to be angry, and I feel your anger. And so validating how they're feeling rather than invalidating them, validating that process of how they're feeling, but then giving them something else like a pillow that they can get their anger out. And so we need to keep safe. And sometimes that is removing ourselves from the situation until it is safe. But even if a child will say, get out of my room, get out of my room, get out of my room, it's
Hmm.
like sitting outside the door of the room and saying, I am right here with you. I am here. I can handle your big feelings. I have got you. I've got you. And we want to be in it with them, but keeping ourselves safe as well. So it's just, we don't want a child not to feel. We want them to feel because it's releasing out of their body. So it's
Yeah.
having these conversations with them when they're regulated of, you've got these really big feelings in your body and it's okay to let them out. But I have some boundaries and some body boundaries around me to keep me safe. So we can't let our big feelings out on me. Okay.
Hmm.
We will let them out here, and you can have a space within the house that they can safely get those emotions out. It could be drawing, it could be like going through, and that's what we do through art therapy, is like getting some colors. And what colors do you feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
And again, don't say these things when they're dysregulated because they can't hear you, but have the conversations when they're regulated. And it's just constantly having this same conversation over and over and over and over and again. And then they get it. They start to get it.
Yeah. What are your feelings about calling the police if a kid is really out of control? Like I'm talking about big kids, like teenagers.
Is that what a parent is feeling? Like if that's what they need to do to keep them safe? I mean, that's a decision that they need to make in those moments
Mm-hmm.
without being in the situation. If a parent feels like that's something they need to do, then they must be pretty out of control. So it really does depend on the situation for the parent. And I just ask them to intuitively feel if they don't feel that they can support them and they feel really unsafe in those moments. And if that's what they have to do, then that's what they have to do. But obviously, we want to try every other modality first.
Mm-hmm.
But try the connection piece with your kid first. At least 20 minutes of undivided attention, letting them lead, letting them do whatever they want. And that could be gaming. You know, my child loves gaming. And so I when I was had a child, I was like, I'm going to be an Earth mom and we're going to live near the land. And that's just not who my child is. Like, he loves gaming. So I
Yeah.
go into that with him. We play Nintendo and we play all of these things together because that's how he feels seen, heard, and valued. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the processes of what we do up until that moment where they get dysregulated. And we really need to check in with ourselves and say, have I given them enough connection time? Am I there for them? Am I listening? Am I wanting them to be somebody that they're not? Because for me, I had to surrender to the technology piece with my son. He's so
Mm-hmm.
intelligent. Has an engineering brain. He's incredible. But for many years, I would be like, nope, we're not doing technology. We're not doing this. We need to see truly who our children are for who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point. But I'm with you with the whole Earth Mother thing and being like, oh, do we have to play video games?
Yeah,
But
it's a
yeah,
part,
it makes
especially
sense.
boys. That's how
Yeah.
they feel empowered. They're winning, They're like, yes, I'm winning. And if that's what they need to feel empowered, especially when they're at a co-parent's house, that's what they need. And it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for making a bunch of people feel a lot better about that one.
Just go
Now, what
into it
about,
with them. Enjoy the games. Find the
yeah.
games that you love to play and play that with them because that's how you'll connect to your children.
Yeah. Now, what about co-parenting? So we talked a little bit about that. How does any of this affect your, as a parent, co-parenting relationship with, let's say, a really difficult ex?
Ooh. Co-parenting is very tough. I co-parent myself and I do 98% of the work. And that is by choice of the other parent, and that's okay. I had to surrender to that.
Mhm.
And I think that we just need to really feel into the situation that we're in and accept it for what it is rather than trying to control and change it. You cannot change the person outside of yourself as much as you really want to. You can't. And then you've got the legal stuff, and then you've got the courts, and then you've got the
Mhm.
papers, and then you get overwhelmed. And it's just like, it's so much all of the time. But I think that we just need to, yeah, accept situations for how they are, but make sure that you have boundaries. If you don't feel safe with something or something doesn't sit right with you, that's where you really need to stand in your power and say that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. I'm a reformed people pleaser, so stepping into that energy was really challenging for me. I was always
Yeah.
like, oh well, oh yeah, no worries, like whatever works for the child.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, as I learned being a counsellor and working with many separated couples, it's not always about the children.
Mm.
It's not always about the children. And we really want it to be, but it's not. And I've seen some really big situations in co parenting dynamics, including my own, that are really challenging to accept. But the more that we can just surrender to what they do over there in the other parent's house is actually not up to us. We have to like release a sense of control. And so what they're wearing or eating or whatever, as long as it's safe, if it's not, we go to lawyers, pediatricians, all of these people, such as my son has a gluten intolerance, like that's not very well received. And so you have to go get that additional support, but just work on yourself in those moments where you don't have your child. Self-love is so important for us Because if we are living from a place of resentment constantly, we're going to stay in that space.
Yeah.
So making sure that you work on yourself, that you have time for yourself, that you find something that brings you joy. Like what did you used to do as a kid that brought you so much joy? What did you do? Like
Yeah.
for me, it was like roller skating. And so I went back and started roller skating. So we've really got to make sure that as parents, we all have that element of joy within us, because otherwise it becomes resentment, it becomes paperwork, it becomes big emotions, big feelings, and we don't have any element of us left. And
Yeah.
the
And it
more
takes time
stronger we
to,
are within ourselves,
yeah, it takes
the
time to
better the
remember
outcome is. Yeah,
who we
yeah.
were all that time ago.
Yeah, and that's really important. So when you don't have your children with you, really work on yourself, and that's so important. So when they come back, you are solid and you have that space to be able to hold those big feelings for your kids because you're solid within yourself. But that's not going to happen if you're worrying, if you're out, if you're not really looking after yourself.
So Jacintha or Jay, how do you work with parents with the kids that are your clients?
So I do one-on-one sessions with the children, and then I have separate parent sessions as well. So we do parent sessions as well as kids sessions. And so it's weekly sessions with kids, and then it's online sessions with the parent too. So um, we have a check-in call. I have something on my website where they can check in and just tell me about what's going on at home. And then a lot of my work is actually with the parents, not the children, because
Yeah, it
we
sounds
really
like
need
it.
to work through, yeah, we need to work through some habits and some beliefs and some things that we've had in our own life to show up for our kids in a different way. I was Parents are told to eat concrete, harden up, you'll be right, get over it. And so then we try and parent our kids like that, and it doesn't work anymore. It's like having that validation piece of, I know that's really big for you and I feel that. And it might be about a sandwich, or it might be about a lolly or an ice cream. And we were like, oh my gosh, they've blown off the handle.
Hmm.
Well, actually, in the morning they got up and they were rushed out the door and they weren't ready to really disconnect from your energy. And then they got into school and the teacher shamed them, and they got to recess and their friend told them they didn't want to be friends with them anymore. And during class they forgot their homework, and then they get to lunch and they can't find any of their friends. And then they're just so exhausted by the end of the day and say, hey, Mum, can I have an ice cream? And you go, no. And they go, bah! But
Yeah.
it wasn't about the ice cream. It was
Hmm.
about their entire day. So we
Yeah.
really need to have more compassion for us. And when we start having more compassion for us as human beings, that allows us to have more compassion for our kids. They go
Yeah.
through so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes so much sense. So any other things that you think that parents should recognize about emotional regulation? You talked about like loving yourself and taking care of yourself, and it's great that you work with parents as well as kids. Any other things we should think about, besides going back to what we enjoyed as kids, especially for people, again, in this really rough co-parenting situation?
I want to tell you that you're enough, that you are enough, that you have everything inside of you to hold what you are holding right now. And it is tough and it is a storm. And making sure that you really have that beautiful heart piece and have more compassion. When you're in the kitchen and you pour over the milk and you get really angry with yourself, in those moments, what if we just said, that's okay, I made a mistake. That's okay, I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You'd me not speak to our co-parent very nicely, that's okay, I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So the more compassion we can have for ourselves in these situations, the better. Because it's tough, it is not easy.
Yeah.
Because we all want the best for our children. All of us. We wanted the best for our kids. We want them to be these beautiful shining lights that we are. But I want you to be the biggest advocate for your kid, because they are going through a storm. Whatever you are feeling, they are feeling that too.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that the connection piece between the two of you is the most important part, because you both need each other. When you've
Mm-hmm.
got so much going on over here, sometimes that's actually broken when you need each other the most. So just make the connection piece with the kids first and forefront, making sure that's the number one, not
Yeah.
number
And I,
five.
I
One.
I love I love that you note that it's not just that your kid needs you, it's that you need your kid too.
I
during this
do.
time.
That's unconditional love. There is no greater person on the earth that can teach you unconditional love than your children.
Mm.
We all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, including our kids. And so it's just showing up for them in a kinder, nicer way that speak to them how you wish that you were spoken to when you were a kid.
Mm. Yeah.
And the yelling, kids don't like yelling. They don't respond to it really well. And then they yell at you and you're like, why are you yelling at me? It's like, well, actually, you've mirrored that behavior and you've taught them how to do that. My son hates yelling because when we were together, we would yell. And so he's very triggered by yelling. So I will even talk to him sternly and he's like, stop yelling at me.
Oh, all the
I'm
time,
not
right?
yelling. Like I'm talking. And so it's dropping that decibels. Even if you don't feel that you're yelling, they feel it. So
Mm-hmm.
just trying to drop down, take a really deep breath, remove yourself from the situation if you need to, come into your calm, come into your place, and then reactivate that session with your children. Go out into nature. Please get outside as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great advice. So Jacintha, how can people find you?
So this is my Instagram page, Jacintha Field. I also have Happy Souls Kids. We're just launching an app for Happy Souls Kids. So everything that I've done in practice, we utilize athletes to be able to teach kids the art of self-regulation. And that we do that through storytelling. So we're about to launch our app. We've got a prototype happening at the moment with some beta testing. So that's Happy Souls Kids on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and our website is www.happysoulskids.com. And yeah, if you need some support, reach out. It's tough. And sometimes the people around you can't hold that space for you. So you need people that really understand the process of how hard it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on and really emphasizing that need for connection, especially during these tough moments when you feel like I'll wait till this is all over and then I'll focus on my kids. It's now is the time,
Yeah,
not
give
later.
them a yes day. Give them a yes day. Like maybe give them $50, $20, even no money, and just get them to like plan the entire day together and have a day together where you just connect doing whatever you can. It's a really beautiful way to connect and see their life and what they want to do.
Yeah, I'm thinking I could do this with my 20-something-year-olds too.
Absolutely. The connection never stops.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Jacintha.
Thank you. Thanks for
And
having
stay
me.
warm.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.